everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. This is our On Friendship episode for March. We're so excited to be here again. And what better movie to talk about for the month of March than a film set in Ireland? And it is forever in my heart. We're talking
Yes.
about today. I'm Funke Rachel Wagner, and Elisa is here.
Hi, everyone. Yay. Happy March.
Yes. How have you been doing?
Hanging in there.
Yeah. I think it's all of us.
I have a countdown on my phone until summer. As a teacher, right, I think of life in like academic semesters and then summer. And then I still work during the summer. I just don't teach during the summer. So I have like a job with athletics and I do other things, but it is 44 days to summer if anyone was counting along at home with me.
Yeah. You're like, yeah, who's counting, right?
Counting the days, the moments,
Oh,
How are
I know.
you?
I'm doing pretty good. When this airs, I will have just gotten my second dose.
Woohoo!
It is very exciting.
I'm so
And
excited.
yeah, I'm so happy that I'm going to be able to hopefully be able to go back to church
Mhm.
and my life is going to come back. And I'm very excited for this summer. Hopefully, I'll be able to get out to
Mhm.
the lake and to the creek and be able to start open water swimming again because I
Yeah.
haven't done that for over a year and a half, and I really miss it because I love it so much. And maybe I'll be able to visit my sister in Virginia. I would love that
Woo!
sometime this summer. That would make me very happy.
Yes, in fact, speaking of summer, I just got a bike, and apparently, it's just supposed to be like riding a bicycle. Isn't that the saying for everything? It's like riding a bicycle.
Yeah.
Well, I got this new bike. I'm super excited about it. It has a basket on the front. It has a little bell, ding ding on it, ready to go around town or do just some different outside biking. But I need to practice first because I feel like the last time I had a bike, the brakes were on the pedals, which I think means I was like a tween. So we'll see if how much of riding a bicycle is like riding a bicycle. I'll have to keep people posted. I'll let you know how many injuries I have in our April episode.
I know. I need to get my bike out of storage. It's been in there a
Yeah.
long time. It's ridiculous. But I need to get the tire repaired.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just put it in storage and I need to get it out. Because I think the key to a good bike experience is that you have a comfortable seat. Because
Yes.
some of those are so uncomfortable.
I was gonna say, well, the first thing to a comfortable bike ride is having your bike and having air and tires fixed.
Yeah.
Then, yes, the
Right.
seat, which was really critical when I tried it out at the store, and I was like, okay,
Mhm.
this seems to hold everything it needs to hold, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. Definitely. I think we're all just ready for all those kinds of experiences. I mean, now you can bike now safely,
Yeah,
even during the pandemic, but I don't know. I just think because the hard part about swimming is that open water swimming is you do have to do that in a group setting. It's not safe
oh,
to go by yourself. Yeah, because you could get there's all different kinds of swells and you could get hit by a boat and you're just not safe to go. Even very experienced open water swimmers, I would never recommend
yeah,
that you swim alone. Really miss that kind of group bonding
yeah,
experience of open water swimming.
yeah.
It's so fun. Uh but and even in I haven't even gone in a pool in so long
You're like, what's a
because
pool?
yeah. Because I just think the last place you want to be in a pandemic is in a locker room with people.
Yeah,
I don't know. That just doesn't sound like a
it
smart
doesn't
choice.
doesn't seem like a good idea. We'll just
No.
put
So
it
I
that
haven't been in a
way.
pool hardly at all. I did a little staycation
Ooh,
with my friend. I know, just one night at a hotel, and we stayed mostly in our room. We did eat a meal and it was pretty safe. The only thing I didn't consider that was a little scary was the elevator there because people are coming in and out, and it's this small confined space, and I'm like, got my mask on. I'm like trying to scoot into the wall as much as I could.
Yeah.
That was a little scary, touch and go, but
Yeah.
other than
No.
that, it was so wonderful, and they had this incredible pool that half of it was inside and half of it was
Oh,
outside.
nice.
Mhm. Yes,
Find
and
me
it was
on the
like bath.
inside.
Yeah, it was like bath water. It was so warm. And outside it was snowing. And so
Oh,
if you could get to the outside pool, it was so cool.
that's amazing.
I know.
Now, see, most of my time is safely spent watching television on the couch, and then I'll be
Yeah,
like,
me
"Ooh,
too.
should I open the window and get a breeze? Let's change it up.
Yeah.
Let's get a little crazy today."
Yeah.
And then Ferguson, one of my cats, he loves that because he loves breezes. He wants to be outside so bad. So I am gonna probably be one of those people. I'm gonna get my cat a harness and a leash to see if he wants to be outside. Doesn't mean I'm
Yeah.
gonna walk him down the street, but like enough just to like, "Hey buddy, do you like being out here or does this like terrify you? And if it terrifies you, let's go directly back inside." But
Yeah,
he's
excited.
always interested in what me and Finn are doing outside, my dog and I. So that's about as crazy as we get up here in Michigan.
Yeah, excited living is like, which Postmate am I going to order tonight? Very exciting.
Exactly. Exactly.
But anyway, so we got to do a staycation with Forever in My Heart and escape to Ireland. And this was fun to get to cover. The little plot of this is Jenna and Charlie found love in Ireland, but their dreams drove them apart. 5 years later, they reunite, and Jenna has to decide where her heart belongs, back home or in the Emerald Isle. And so this is directed by Stephen Monroe and stars Merritt Patterson and Jack Turner. And what was your overall thoughts about this film?
Okay. I liked it. I think that she was adorable and he was adorable and they were adorable together and this movie could have been 4 minutes long if they just realized it in the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah, and I
But
thought that you would get a kick out of some of the supporting characters in
oh
this.
yeah, that's I have notes, I have ideas for like the next movie. Yeah, I got all sorts of stuff.
Oh, good,
But like
good.
that's my initial thoughts. So what about
Mhm.
you? What are your
Yeah,
thoughts on this one?
I agree. I think this is pretty solid. I feel like it's not that far off of feature romantic comedy of something like Leap Year. I would rather watch this, in fact, over Leap Year.
I just saw
Um,
Leap Year in 2020 when I watched the 500 movies, and I had never
mhm.
seen it before, and I didn't think it was good. I was like, I don't know, but then I went in, and my expectations, like, it exceeded them because I didn't
Yeah.
have any.
Like, their love feels so hard to believe in Leap Year.
Their
It
their
just
chemistry's different, but I like
yeah,
each of those, actors individually, and
right.
she's adorable, right? And I loved him too. I'm blanking on the actors' names right
Matthew
now.
Good, who's a
Yes.
dreamboat.
Oh, yes,
And
Mr. Downton Abbey,
yeah.
oh,
That's right.
hello, that's why I liked it. Okay,
But I
I'm
didn't
back with you.
yeah, and I didn't like the way that he was all judgy about her job. Like,
Yeah.
"Ooh, you're a stager. You're setting up fake worlds and whatever." And I'm like, "Come on.
This
You
is
have to sell
like
the house." It's not I mean, just feel like that's sort of a stretch.
Yeah, sometimes people get worked up about the wrong things. Like the person on
Yeah.
Twitter who's upset that Krispy Kreme is giving out donuts.
Yeah.
Let people have their free Krispy Kreme donuts. I'm just upset
Yeah.
because I don't have a Krispy Kreme near me.
It's not
Okay?
like they're forcing you to eat them.
It's not like, that because they did that, I've decided to have a Krispy Kreme with every single meal every
Yeah.
day for an
Right.
entire year. No.
Yeah. What they should be doing is going over to the healthy chains or whatever
Yeah.
and say, "Hey, why don't you offer
Yeah,
like"
encourage more people to encourage people to get vaccines, fine. I'm
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna
Yeah.
have to drive around to find a Krispy Kreme that's still open.
I don't know what those healthy chains are. Now that I said that, I'm like, what?
We
What's
don't have
that?
them here in Michigan. I was gonna say
So
what?
maybe
McDonald's,
Froyo or
Culver's.
something.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
none of the places we have here really fit the bill.
No.
But yeah, so that's the thing is like that's a really good point about leap year. Like I enjoyed both of them for different reasons, and
Yeah.
maybe it's because of Matthew Good. And remind me of the young gent in this movie.
Jack Turner.
Have we watched any movies with him yet?
No, we have not.
That is
And
so rude.
well, I thought about because I'm actually, as of this recording, I'm going to be interviewing him tomorrow. So he's
What?
going to be on the podcast. Yes. And he does these films called the One Winter
Okay.
trilogy. And they're having the third one, even though it's not in winter. They're
Yeah.
having the third one this season. And so he's a lot of fun. I really enjoy Jack Turner.
Yeah,
And
I did too. And
mhm.
tomorrow, if you just want to send me that link and I just kind of sneak in, I won't do anything except sit. No,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, accent. Were those dimples? I'm not really sure, but I I enjoyed I enjoyed him very much,
Yeah.
and I'm holding it against you that you've kept him from me for so long.
You know what? It's true though. I've actually thought about doing the One Winter movies many times for on friendship because it the main core is about friendship. So
Well,
it might maybe in April, maybe we'll see. But
woo!
but yeah, I really enjoyed this film. I thought it was really solid. I if I'm gonna nitpick, get my film
Please
critic
do.
hat on. Uh, some of the lighting I thought was strange. Like it feels very harsh and it made her look like she was wearing a lot of makeup. And I just
Mhm.
felt like it was very contrasty and I was like, "Come on,
I felt like
calm down with the lighting."
well, I felt like the lighting was dark inside because it's Ireland, and then
Yeah,
we went outside, and I was like, "Are we? Where are
much
we?"
better.
But no, it was like I was like, "This feels too sunny for Ireland." Like
Mhm.
I don't know. Like I'm like, isn't it like overcast? Like maybe I'm being a little
Oh, that's true.
stereotypical, but I felt like it was super bright outside and then super dark inside. And I was like,
Yeah.
are you trying to say like Irish folk don't have good electricity? I was like, what is happening? So
Yeah.
I kind of felt like there was a choice to be made on the lighting inside, and then like this is what we have outside. We're filming,
Mhm.
we got to make it happen.
Yeah.
My
And it
oh,
probably does have something to do with the budget.
yeah. I mean,
But
it's
I don't know, that was
nitpicky.
just this nitpicky,
Yeah.
but that is something that, was a little distracting this time. But other than that, I really thought it's a fun movie. It starts out
Can I give you my nitpicky?
Oh, yeah, please.
Okay, well, I don't know how nitpicky it is other than like in terms of the partner, right? The man of business that we'll talk about.
Oh, right, yes.
He and Jack Turner, I was like, "Whoa." Like they were kind I was like, "She has a type." Like, except for him being like, "Hey, I'm a musician and I work in my dad's, inn type thing." And he's like, "I am a man of business and I'm flying to Dubai." Other than that, I was like, you needed, I mean, no offense to the second guy, he was no Jack Turner, you know what I mean? But I thought like they were really close, like looking, and it was hard for me at first. I was like,
Yeah,
"Whoa, what? What is happening?"
it's true. They are pretty close. I would agree with that. They look like they could be brothers in
Yes,
another movie.
or cousins. I'll be on
Cousins, yeah. Mhm.
I was just confused at first.
So it starts out with Jennifer. She's making her to do list. She's leaving Ireland. She's got to do everything on her to do list. And a lot of times in these movies, as we've seen in some of the movies that we have reviewed on friendship, the to do list means that you're like closed off to love and you're like lost. You're making to do lists. That's a bad sign. But I
Yeah.
have to say they're pretty gentle on her with that here.
Yes.
They're pretty respectful of her and her talents, and so I appreciate that. And I really loved her and her BFF Catherine. I thought that was a really
Yes.
fun relationship.
More. That's my first note. More Catherine and Jenna,
Yeah.
please. But then also, and we'll get into it, there's another friendship, like a whole friendship scenario I have for an upcoming Hallmark movie that they need to acquire.
Ooh. Yeah,
And
and then
create and produce and release and so on and so forth.
they have Liam, who's the BFF with Charlie. That's a really fun relationship. And then you have Liam and Catherine who are married, and so then they're all four sort of friends with each other,
Yes!
which I
That's the
enjoyed.
story. That's the next movie. Two couples that are best friends and they run an Irish inn. Done. Next movie, let's
Mhm.
do it. I
Yeah.
want the hijinks of the guys and the girls and being in the kitchen and trying to fix things, and I'm
Yeah.
all about it. I loved that they both had friends, because I feel like that doesn't always happen, where it's like, well, this person is just like, I'm doing my thing, and and then you rarely see like the ladies friend, and it's like nice to see like those friendships were established at the start and they were
Mhm.
there throughout the movie, and I was checking all my friendship boxes.
We'd like to take a second from this episode of the podcast to celebrate our sponsor of this episode, and that is the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast?
Do you want an inside scoop into what happens on the podcast?
Do you want early access to episodes and loads of cool perks?
Now is the time to become a patron of Hallmarkies Podcast.
By becoming a patron, you get to access our patron Facebook group.
You can request episodes or even be a guest on the podcast.
And most importantly, any patron can join our monthly movie watch-alongs with stars like Paul Campbell, Natalie Hall, and more.
It's as low as $2 a month to join in and become a special part of the Hallmarkies family.
Please consider, and we will love you forever.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
Although I do have to say, Rachel, I thought in the beginning, I was a little shocked to find out that the characters that Charlie and Jenna had been dating. I thought that she might have been there like on study abroad or internship and they'd be friends, and then she comes back and would fall in love with him later. So I had a complete different storyline. I was expecting, and then like a minute and a half in, I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
They start out in a relationship,
Mm-hmm.
and then she gets the dream job. Dream jobs are the worst in these movies. They always the enemy of love.
But I was also like, after working in Ireland for a year, no offense, I live in the Midwest, but I was like, your dream job is in Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, running a hotel.
Yeah, I was like, I mean, Miami, New York City, somewhere in the South, like Savannah, Georgia. Like, there's so many possibilities. And it was like, Columbus, Ohio. And I was like, well, why not just say Mount Pleasant, Michigan? Like, what is happening?
Yeah, you're like, live your truth. But hey, I mean.
But I was like, what? You went from Ireland to Columbus?
Yeah.
But to each their own. I don't want to yuck someone else's yum, but
Yeah.
I was a little surprised.
Yeah. It's one you don't see every day. I did think it was a pretty cool shot that they do where they have her there in Ireland and then they pan out, and then she's there in the city.
Yes.
That was a pretty good little
Yeah.
shot for a Hallmark movie, I thought. They did a good job.
Yes.
She's managing the big fancy hotel. And she meets the couple that's part Irish. It makes her reminisce of what she left behind. And she's great at her job, but now it's been 10 years since her dad died. And part of the reason why she was in Ireland to begin with was to restore a house in Ireland with her dad.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then we have Dave, and it's her boyfriend.
Boo. The man of business in Columbus, who's jet setting to like India, Dubai.
Dubai.
I was like, why don't you start off with LA and New York and maybe even Chicago, and let's see what happens next. Like Pugsley from Columbus, that hotel let's get that in Dubai. That's where I was like, y'all. Okay, that's a nitpick. I get it. It doesn't matter where it is because that's not where she's gonna end up, and we all know it. So
Well, yeah, I have to say, like, in the world of bad men of business, he's pretty nice, I
yes.
would say.
Yes, and although I would have to say he's also I don't think they see him as extremely important, and here's why.
Mhm.
I have 2 thoughts about it. Number 1, when he calls to offer her the job at the end, she's like, "Thank you, Mr. Whatever," and he's like, "You can call me Dave," and then all of a sudden they're in a relationship, and I was like, "Mhm." So, like, we don't see a whole lot of that. It's like 10 years later, sort of situation, which it felt like maybe they would have moved along faster or her career would have moved faster. So I thought the 10 years was sort of a mistake. I'd even go like 5, something like
Mhm.
that. But the second thing is, and is it okay that I skip ahead and
Yeah.
spoiler alert? Um, he surprises her out in Ireland and then, like, but before she goes, he proposes and she seems like she's excited about it, I guess. And then she breaks it off and he has nothing to say about it. She's just like, I think I should return the ring to you. And then they just sit on a bench and he has nothing to say. And I was like, can I get something like maybe you're right, or like at least make it something that was mutual, or make him a little upset, or it
Mhm.
was just like, we're done with you, thank you, have a nice day.
Yeah. It's always a tricky thing dealing with the other man in
Mhm.
these movies because you don't wanna make him too likable, then we feel bad when he
Yeah.
gets when he gets because there are some that's happened, and you're like, "Wow, I feel terrible for this person."
Yeah.
But then again, you don't wanna make them too a jerk because what does that say about our heroine that
Yeah.
she's with this jerk? And that's
Well,
a problem I always have with Wedding Singer. Like, why
yeah.
is she with this horrible person? What is happening?
Why is her name Julia Gulia?
Yeah,
Or it's gonna be.
it's the worst.
But I think that's an excellent point, but I do still have some criticism for heroin because I feel like if you're in Ireland for a certain amount of time and you have a partner, and then your dream job is back in Columbus, Ohio, and there's no conversation with Mr. Irish Dimples with the guitar, and I was like,
Mhm.
and he was planning to like propose to her,
Well,
and there's
yeah.
no conversation, and then she goes from this guy to Mr. Dubai in Columbus. Dubai by way of Columbus.
I mean, it does feel like a swing from Charlie to Dave. Like, that doesn't seem like the same
Sorry,
person.
Dave.
That doesn't seem like the same person would be interested in both those people,
Other than they kind of look like each other. And
other than they
so,
kind of look like each other. Yeah, he's gonna give her a Claddagh ring,
yeah.
and do you know about Claddagh rings?
Like vaguely. So if you have something prepared, please educate
Well,
me and anyone else listening who doesn't know.
yeah, I have a Claddagh ring
Oh, cool.
myself.
So you know
Yes.
what's up. You didn't have to prepare anything.
Well, and for me, it's I actually bought because you usually buy them in pairs because it's like a promise with it's a friendship ring, and they represent love, loyalty, and friendship.
He said that at the
And
end. Okay, yes.
yeah, and so you need to get I feel like a Claddagh ring
Mhm.
because it's so your brand.
Yeah, like how did I'm like sitting here like how did I not know about this? And now I'm like, "Ooh, episode for best forevers."
Yes, and I got mine this was years ago with my sister, and she was kind of struggling at the time, and my youngest sister, and we got them together, the
Mhm.
Claddagh rings, and so we both have I think it was for her birthday or something anyway, but yeah, so mine is with my sister.
Nice.
So not the love of my life, but one of
One
my
of them.
loves.
I was gonna say not the, but definitely one of them.
One of
Like,
him,
so
that's right.
so, like, my first thought would be, like, to do that with a best friend, and
Yeah.
although she is married and I introduced her to the love of her life, you're welcome. Um, ladies and gentlemen, I'm 1 for 1 on matchmaking,
Oh.
100%. I'm feeling pretty good about my odds, so let me know if you
Yeah.
need to be set
Yeah.
up.
I'm ready to go. What are you kidding?
I don't know anyone.
Make it the next podcast.
He was the only guy I knew. I'm just kidding. He's
Yeah.
great. But like she would say like he's the love of her life type of thing. Love like that, but like friendship love of the life, then it's like so I could see doing that with my best friend Kate. And
Yeah.
so now I have to look more into clawtering. So now you've given me like I don't want to say like a chore because it sounds exciting, but you've
Yeah.
definitely added something to my to-do list.
Okay,
So
good. We want to see it on your Instagram.
yes, I can do
When you
that.
get your clawtering. And he's gotten one for her and he's going to give it to her, but then he decides that he'd be spoiling her dream and so he's not going to do it. And I always hate this in these kinds of movies. I mean, it works for the story,
Yeah.
but I'm always just frustrated cuz you're making the decision for her. Like
Mhm.
she doesn't have all the information.
Yeah.
She doesn't know that you're about to give her this ring.
Yeah.
She doesn't know that there's more. So it's not fair to her. And then a lot of times they're kind of grumpy about the fact that you left in these stories when it's like, of course they left. You didn't give her the correct information.
Well,
She didn't know. How is she supposed to know?
hashtag I'm Team Charlie. So, what I'm gonna say to that though is, again, she left without even really a conversation, and so she kind of like, in some ways, I can see that he foresaw like a rejection because she had already decided. But then later in the movie, Catherine says, "Well, he didn't want to keep you from your dreams and things like that," and some of that I'm like, okay, this is where then I might move over to Team Jenna or at least Team Catherine and be
Mhm.
like, Charlie, if this is like you part of the dream is the two of you together, then you can figure out your personal dreams together, I would imagine. But she also said with Man of Business that they weren't good at communication. I'm like, well, you and Charlie weren't either.
Yeah, because he's just about to give her the ring, and he overhears her
Yeah.
getting the job offer, and then he decides to not do it.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying that,
I get both sides is what I'm saying.
yeah, give her the full information she doesn't know, and let her make the decision instead of you making the decision for her
Yeah.
of what's best for her.
Yeah.
And but nevertheless, that's what he does.
Boo.
And and then we have Liam and Charlie, and I really liked their friendship. I really liked their
Yeah.
relationship.
Let's do an
And
origin story. I want to see how they
yeah.
became friends and how that became a thing, how they started their band. Like, I have so many ideas, Hallmark. This could be an entire, like, Forever in My Heart series.
Mhm.
Like, literally Forever in
Yeah.
My Heart, because there could be multiple, like,
Mhm.
spin-offs, and I'm
It's
excited
true.
about
You can
it.
have every episode be a different group that comes to stay at the inn and their
Ooh!
story,
You learn a
and
little
then
bit
have the
more about the
yeah
people
and
who work there, too. Oh.
and then have the main stories be about the community and the town and everything. Yeah,
Well,
they just
Hallmark,
had.
it sounds like you should hire us. We got some stories.
Did you watch the latest the All Creatures Great and Small?
No, I haven't seen that.
Oh, it's so good. You got to watch it. It's so charming. It's on PBS Masterpiece. If you go to their
Okay.
website, you can watch it.
I'm
It's
writing
so
it
good.
down right now in my notes.
Mhm. Yep. Anyway, so you find out Charlie's dad is retiring,
Mhm.
and so they're kind of adjusting to that. And then and so then Jenna gets assigned to make the pitch in Ireland. They are buying an older hotel and redoing it. So what's going to happen?
It's Pugsley
Mhm.
from Columbus heading straight to Dublin,
Yeah.
Ireland.
Yeah. I wonder where in Vancouver that hotel
Yeah,
was.
seriously. That's what I was gonna say
It was not
earlier.
in.
When you go outside, you know you're in Vancouver. Inside, it's supposed to be Ireland.
I think there's a lot of it was filmed in Ireland, but I definitely
Oh,
think the hotel in the in that was supposedly in Ohio, that was definitely in Vancouver.
Well, just say Vancouver. That's way cooler.
Right.
And again, folks, I say this as someone who's lived most of their life in Michigan. Okay. So, like, I guess my perception is there's lots of places that seem cooler, but I mean, Columbus has a lot going on. I mean, it has, I guess, Ohio State University, blah, and then it has like a Major League Soccer team. It has all
Mhm.
sorts of stuff to do. And I looked it up after we first talked about Columbus, there's nearly 1 million people that live in that city. So, like, it's cool, but it's just not where I think of like people really wanting that fancy hotel experience. But Vancouver, I'm ready. Let's do it.
Now, there are a lot of people online and stuff that complained about the accents, particularly Jack Turner's accent. I thought it was fine. I thought he
I
sounded fine.
Here's the thing, I don't know the difference. And that's my fault. And so, like, sometimes I think the only time I've really been like, what is going on with this accent was what is, oh my gosh, people are gonna laugh that Kevin Costner.
Yeah.
And Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. I was like, what is happening here? I've heard it.
Yeah.
I was like, no, that's the only
Well,
time I've ever really noticed like an accent where I was like, that's not good. Or you could tell watching a movie like The Departed that Mark Wahlberg's Boston accent is authentic, right? You know,
right.
there's times where you know either way. Most of the time, I don't have a clue. And I was like, sounds good to me.
Yeah, I have to say I did not hear it here. I've seen other movies where I did notice. I mean, a lot of people make fun of Mary Poppins about that, his
Oh,
cockneyed Dick
huh,
Van Dyke's cockneyed accent that they don't like.
huh.
But I I think it has to be pretty bad for to really be distracting for me. I think that with Robin Hood, it's a good example because it goes in and out and fluctuates in and out of the accent. And
Mhm.
so then it sounds really terrible. But in this case, it's pretty consistent and it sounded authentic to me. Again, no expert here, but I thought it was fine. So that's my story on that.
Yeah,
But
I don't have enough knowledge, and I watch enough things without accents that and I know I have like a Midwestern one that's probably like people are like, Rachel, who is this person?
yeah, but I
Midwest
liked the
Michigan.
yeah, I liked the dynamic between Catherine and Jenna when she gets
Hmm.
into this. She says, "How did you get to be so comforting?" And she says, "I'm just repeating all the things you said when I was in need of help." That
Aw,
was very sweet.
social support
Friendship.
and reciprocity, things that are very important to friendship. And then not only that, you see like she's like intuitive. Like Catherine's very intuitive of like she knows when Jenna seems to be having a problem, but she
Mhm.
will hold her delicious baked goods that are still warm from the oven as hostage until you share those
That's
problems with
true.
her.
Well, and
But
she seemed to be always making giant tablefuls of food.
it was for the festival, Rachel.
Yeah, but then there was like breakfast at one point. There was all
Yeah.
this huge tables and
It
like
looked
wow.
amazing. I
I
was
know.
like, if
Way
any
to
of
go food department.
well, I was like, is this one of those things when I watched like that HBO doc when I was a kid where it showed you how they did ice cream and commercials and it's like Crisco and I was like
Right. Like
I'm
it's really
like,
plastic.
yeah, I'm like, I want this to be real and I want to eat a lot of it.
Yeah. So the father character, Charlie's father, has a accident and he ends up in the hospital, and so Jenna says that she's going. She doesn't care what you say. I'm not taking no for an answer. She's going to go, and it turns out that he hurt his foot. I think right.
He fell on that step that was broken that they hadn't fixed yet on his little
Hmm.
to-do list. So really it's time to sue Charlie, his own
Yeah.
son, and then we'll see the real drama.
And also, I must not understand coffee, which I don't understand coffee, but because he orders a double shot espresso with an extra shot. Isn't that just a triple shot espresso?
You're talking to someone who drinks tea and Coke Zero. Like, maybe
Yeah.
this particular movie, like, we're like accents, coffee, like, we are way out of our
Right,
comfort zones right now.
yeah. I'm
But
like, "What is a double shot espresso with an extra shot?" I don't know.
maybe it's just always like what is sort of the common or typical drink is the double espresso, and that there are people who need that extra caffeine, so they started being fancy and adding the third shot.
I
I don't
guess it's
know.
not a triple espresso, evidently,
Let's see if
but
that exists, but
yeah.
continue.
And I like Catherine says to her, "Well," says, "Aren't you supposed to believe in luck rather than fate?"
Ooh.
And so then, or sorry, Jenna says that to Catherine. Aren't you supposed to believe in luck rather than fate? And you have Charlie now is actually making the long term list, and Jenna has the short term list. And they say, "Why don't we combine and make it happen?" So that's very romantic.
Yes, and then they're like, let's come. That's when you know you're ready for marriage, is when you can combine your to-do lists.
I think
But
so.
like, they're trying to get ready for their busy season, and the dad is
Yeah.
down for the count because he didn't fix the stairs. Way to go, Charlie. And then, so they really have to make it happen so that Catherine can have these tables of delicious goodies for all the people who are coming to this festival that appears to be like 40 people. But maybe it's a small town.
Right. But it's going to save everything. It's going to save the inn. It's going to save everything.
Yeah.
And then you have Liam telling Charlie, "Tell Jenna about the ring." And her meetings keep getting pushed back. And so she has more time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty
Is that luck or fate?
yeah, luck or fate.
Well, the thing is that they were paying attention. It could have been both luck and fate 10 years ago, but you
Right.
really stretched this baby out. And I think that's what was sort of surprising, is that she went all the way back to Ireland to go to the where she worked with this family, and to see Catherine and to see Patrick, the father, and not even like notify or ask about Charlie or anything. And she thought that he might be out touring. Him and Liam have a two-person band. But Liam is married and with Catherine. So where does she think Charlie has gone? And so there's sort of this surprise moment for both of them, because Catherine hasn't said anything. Usually the gossip queen of Dalkey, Ireland, and she's like keeping her lips
Loose
closed.
lips.
Loose lips sink ships. Not this time. She's like, I'm gonna sit back and eat a baked good and watch and see what happens. And
Yeah.
so there was sort of like this surprise for both of them, but it seemed like they were able to fall into step like it was directly 10 years ago,
Yeah.
because they did seem to be good together. So that's, for me, it never made sense why they weren't together from the beginning.
Mhm.
And that's why I was
Right.
like, this would make more sense had they been friends and maybe an unrequited love situation, in terms of like without the romantic relationship, like a
Mhm.
friendship that may be pining for her. And then
Yeah.
she comes back, I think would have been a really interesting
Yeah.
storyline there.
More friends to lovers versus
Yes.
the second chance. This is basically like a second chance
Exactly.
romance.
I'm gonna, as you might imagine, friends, that I'm gonna go with the friends to lovers.
Yeah. But I did die laughing when Dave comes back and he wants to spend like 2 years going around the world and having a great time. And she says, "I don't want to put down roots. I don't want to do this." And then she says, "Why don't we take some risk in the presentation?" And he's like, "What? You mean like changing the font on the PowerPoint?"
That's totally risk taking for me
Yeah.
as a teacher. I'm gonna change up the color scheme.
Yeah. That
Check out
font.
these animations. Getting wild.
If you're using Courier New in your presentation, I'm going to be shocked.
Well, the thing is, like, why did like he Dave, like, okay. It's interesting because they never talked, and she even says that, like, we don't talk. So she didn't know that he wanted to travel the world, And she's like, I want to settle down roots. Well, how's he supposed to know that? But honestly, it's a big fat lie. And here's why, because she's like, I could use some adventure. She says that several times in the movie. The issue is she knows that the adventure is not going to be with Dave. And she's just lying to herself. So it's
But
not just a second chance, it's second I'm in denial for 10 years chance. That's the kind of movie this
But
was.
she doesn't want to be left
Yeah.
by Dave, 6
That's
months out
true.
of the
Yeah,
year.
who wants to be in
She says
Columbus for that much time alone? She even says
yeah.
that. But like, but at the same time, like he thought they would go travel together. He even said,
Mhm.
like, we could go see the world together. And she's like, well, I want to settle down roots. And I thought she was gonna say, and this would have been the kicker for me. I would have been like, ooh, get him, girl. If she would have said, I've already done that because she did the adventure to Ireland 10 years ago, and I was
That's
about to be
true.
like, ooh, snap, she got Dave, but then that didn't happen, and I was like,
But
oh,
he's
disappointed.
also not listening very well to her because she says, I want to do these different things in the presentation.
Yeah.
I want to highlight the local culture
Yeah.
and the people and everything. And he's like, let's keep brainstorming and revisit. And that seems to be his go-to response instead of actually like dealing with conflict. It's just like, let's revisit it.
That's what you do as a supervisor, not as a partner. And like, if
Right.
you're going to be partners and like partners in both senses, like in the relationship and in business in a way, then you can't treat each other like supervisor, subordinate, or in either relationship. Like there has to be some sort of boundary, or like right now we're talking about the relationship, now we're talking about business. Like they did not have anything figured out. And
No.
I was like, I mean, I thought like he went too quickly or without a voice, like in terms of like being able to at least say, you're right, or like, good job. We did it for as long as we could. High five. There was like nothing.
Yeah.
But then I was happy to see him go, and I was like, oh, good. Bye, Dave. Enjoy Dubai and Columbus.
Yeah. It would have been nice to have one more scene.
Yeah.
But she's mad at him because he had offered to buy the inn from Charlie
Can we talk
and
about
to
that?
buy them out. Yeah.
Can we talk? Okay, the communication person in me, y'all. You have Liam and Charlie at the bar. Liam's behind the bar, and so it's the restaurant of the inn. And so they're talking about all the issues that they're having. And Dave is sitting there, and then he says, I overheard what you said. Can we have a pint together? I'm like, whoa, that doesn't make sense, right? Like, it's like, oh my goodness, is there anything I can help with? Or I'm sorry to hear about the bit. It
Mhm.
just felt weird. Like, I'm going to like buy you a beer, when he was like eavesdropping on someone else's
Mhm.
conversation. And it was super abrupt and awkward. And I was just like, Dave, can you just go to Dubai? It would just save everyone a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
And let Liam and Charlie figure it out. And I do think there's something that's a little inappropriate of just trying to like swoop in and save someone's business like that. Like I think it, like, you don't know him. You don't know
Mhm.
what's going on. So what are you going to do? Like take it over with your soon to be bride and kick out her former partner? Like it just felt really like that was Dave's perhaps lowest moment for me.
Mhm.
I didn't like
Yeah,
it.
and especially when she's there to give the presentation. So why wouldn't you involve her in this whole process? That's what I think makes it
Exactly.
feel underhanded.
Exactly. She's the one who spent a year working there. And he knows that because that was impressive to him, because he offered her a position while she was at that inn 10 years ago.
Mhm. Yeah. So Liam and Catherine are continuing to their massive displays of food and desserts, and we get a flower fight while they're making the desserts. That was kind of fun, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the next one. We need these moments.
Hmm.
This is the friendship. This is exciting. This is what I want, Hallmark.
So then we also have this little side relationship with Patrick, who is Charlie's dad, and he has this first love that he lost, and then he met Charlie's mom, and he loved her. and he's always wondered kind of what about the first love. And there's this woman named Molly who is coming into town, and surprise, surprise, she's the first love. It's so exciting.
I love though that they have all these old photos of all these different people who have like visited and things like that as a way to decorate their hotel or their inn. And she's in the photo, but he doesn't have any idea who she is. And what's really interesting is that it sort of runs in the family that he might have inherited his dad's, like, that his dad didn't go after his first love. But at the same time, had he done that, Charlie wouldn't exist.
Right.
So
And
it's like really like, what do you do here?
but he says, you got a chance that I didn't get.
Yes.
I never got a second chance, but then he did get a second chance after all, which was very cute.
I loved Molly. I wanted more of that too. See, this series that we're talking about with the Dalkey community would be amazing. I'm on
It would be
board.
so charming.
There's probably something that exists. We just don't have access to it. It's like probably like Irish television, which they call television. And
well, one I thought of, did you ever see The Vicar of Dibley?
No, I haven't.
It's so cute. It's really charming, the show about...
Is it PBS?
It's BBC.
BBC, okay, yep.
Yeah, BBC sitcom show. And it's about a woman who is a vicar in a small little town in Ireland. And it has Richard Armitage, who I absolutely love, who is, if you ever saw the miniseries of North and South, that has Richard Armitage. And it also has, the lead is Dawn French, and she's charming, of course. And then Emma Chambers, who has been in a bunch of stuff. She actually passed away, which was sad. But yeah, you'd recognize her. She was in Notting Hill.
Oh,
she was the sister.
Okay.
Anyway, it's charming cast, charming show. I think it's on Netflix.
I just had to look up what a vicar was.
But it's a good show. If anybody's seen it, yeah, I'm like, especially Richard Armitage is so dreamy in it.
Well, that's the thing is I just, there was a feel to the movie that I enjoyed, although we've got some nitpickies and some other things we would have liked to happen. There's something still like, and that's sort of what she gets at when she does her pitch for Pugsley hotels in Dublin, is that if they picked up Pugsley, that basically they're going to focus on the people in the community, that wasn't just going to be a hotel, that you have to make it about the culture around you. And like, that's what I want in the TV show. Like, give me more, that's what I sort of enjoyed about it.
Yeah. And so they go to the town, and they are she decides to go into the jewelry store, and the lady, I guess he has not been in that store since he bought the ring, and she remembers that he bought this ring,
and
which seems
he's shaking his head at her like, lady, keep it together.
I mean, it seems hard to believe that somebody that would have had so many clients over so long, because they run a jewelry store. It's not like it's an odd thing. Like if I sold one ring that I had, then I'm going to remember who I sold it to. But if I ran a jewelry store where I sold rings on a daily basis, I'm probably not going to remember some random guy who bought a ring 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, she does.
But and it didn't seem like they left immediately once Jenna realized, but then it was just sort of like, and we're done there. Close that door.
So then she spills the beans about the ring, and now she knows that he was going to propose. She didn't know, and he tells her, we couldn't do long distance, and you were so focused on your career, I had to let you go. And then she leaves, and she makes the speech before the people. Who knows what font she used? Very controversial.
Well, she had like an entire moving mock-up of the community into like what the inside of the hotel would look like. And I was like, dang, you did all that in that dark lighting inside that hotel.
Yeah.
Impressive.
Right. And so she decides to go back, but he's gotten a ticket to Columbus. He's going to go, but she gets there first. And it was so
He's
cute. I
wasted a
love
bunch
that.
of money.
Right. Hopefully it was refundable.
Yes,
Let's
exactly.
hope.
Yeah.
She's back. I really liked that blue dress that
Oh,
she's
it
in at
looked
the
great
end.
on her.
Yeah. It looked
Yeah.
really, really good. And he sings. He sings a couple times in this movie. And I appreciated the fact that it was just normal human singing. It wasn't sounding like they're trying to get a recording contract. It was just like he sounded like a normal voice, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. Because sometimes in these movies, they're trying a little too hard.
Yeah. No, I thought it was good, and then I liked that he had written the song. He never had a title for it, and then at this moment at the festival, they have Liam sings it, and it's Jenna's song, and so then they get to
Yeah.
dance to it. So then he can step down, and he doesn't have to play the music, which is probably something that happens a lot with musicians. If they want to
Right.
like play a song for their partner or someone they're interested in, they're like, "Oh crap, can someone take over here so that I can get down there? Thank you." Okay.
Yeah. It was really cute and a
Yes.
cute song. And
Mhm.
then she says, "Now it feels like home." And they're dancing. He gives her the clatter ring, and all's well in the world. So she's going to be there. I mean, it makes sense. It feels like she has way more friends in Ireland. Why not? If she can get a visa, that's only a tricky part.
Yeah.
But hopefully they'll get married quick so that she can stay.
Green card marriage. No, just
Yeah.
kidding.
Whereas my sister, well, two of my sisters actually live in England right now.
Ooh.
I know. And my sister Anna she got married last year, and so I haven't had the wedding yet because of
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah.
But they had to get married because her visa was
Yeah.
expiring. And
Oh my
so,
gosh.
I mean, they wanted to get married,
Yeah,
but
of course, but it's
still
like,
they also had to do it. They
yeah.
couldn't wait. So
Wow.
they got married in it, right, it was in August, so right in the kind of the middle of COVID.
Yeah.
They got married, and luckily they filmed it, so we all got to see. But
Oh, that's great.
I know,
Oh.
and they still want to have a wedding eventually. I actually got my passport,
Mhm.
and I submitted my application for a passport in March, just before everything
Oh
went
no.
nuts. I know, because I thought, oh, I might be able to go to England for Anna's
Yeah.
wedding this year.
Yeah, you're like, "Oh,
And then
JK."
I ended yeah, and then I ended up getting it in the mail in, like, August.
And you're like, "That's like a slap in the face." Well,
So,
my goodness.
yeah, hopefully I'll get to go and visit one of
Yeah.
these days, that and that they'll be able to have the wedding that they want.
You know,
So anyway.
it just made me think though, like, as far as I know, because I got a passport, and it expired, it lasts 10 years, so I had to get a new one just a couple
Mhm.
years ago. And
Yeah,
so if it was a 10-year difference in Jenna's, she must have been just under expiration on her passport.
true. That's true. That's a
You
good
can't
point.
write that into the story though. Like, Dave's like, "Your tickets are already booked." It's like, what if her passport was expired, sir, but you have never talked to each other about
Right.
anything?
But I think that Merritt Patterson and Jack Turner had really nice chemistry in this movie.
Yeah.
And I actually feel like this couple would be a very solid couple,
Yeah.
because some of these movies you feel like, wow, they've been fighting the whole movie and now they're finally together. And I don't picture it really working out all that well.
I mean, even when he purposely got lost, like, they weren't even, like, frustrated with each other. So I was like,
Right.
this is gonna last a long time, which might also be why it's called Forever in My Heart,
That's
and
true.
why Hallmark could continue to do stories from Dalkey. Ireland, I want
Yeah.
more of Liam and Charlie. I want more of Catherine and Jenna, and I want
Yeah.
more of the four together. Let's do it.
If you're listening, Hallmark, we're ready to go.
And I'm
We can write it.
serious.
We can be executive producers. It'll be
Consultant?
amazing.
Can I be a friendship consultant? Hashtag
Yes.
friendship matters.
That's right. Well, so what would you give out of 5 crowns? What would you give
Oh
Forever in
my
My
God.
Heart?
Let's see. Jack Turner at least gets a 4 out of 5. And I would say 4.3. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. That's I was going to give 4.25, so I'll
Oh,
just go with
hey!
you and say 4.3. And yeah, because I really enjoy, I think this is really solid. I think
Yeah.
it's not that far off of what you could release in theaters. Like, I don't think it's that different
Yeah.
than Leap Year. I really don't. I mean, some
The
of the
difference is Jack Turner
lighting and a
versus
few,
Matthew Good might
yeah,
be. Now, ooh, I got another idea. You bring Matthew Good in. You got Jack Turner. You got Jenna. I don't know the actress's name. Help me out.
Merritt
And
Patterson.
thank you. And then we have a triangle. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. With Matthew Good, and that could be dreamy. I'd watch that all day.
Yeah, exactly. Which reminds
So,
me, in your interview tomorrow, tell Jack I said hi.
okay, I will. So, let us know if you're listening what you think of Forever in My Heart. Were we too nice to it, or do you enjoy it like we did? I think it's a really pretty solid Hallmark movie. So,
And also
uh,
tell us what you think about Columbus, Ohio,
true.
accents, and 3-shot espressos.
That's right. So, Lisa, where can people find you?
Yes, I'm Dr. Elisa Lucas on Twitter, and I'm Best Forevers Pod on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Wait, did I say that right? Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Yes, I did. Okay. And then there's exciting news. I am actually merging together all of my podcasts into one spot, and it's going to be called Friends with Elisa. So stay
Ooh.
tuned, because my webpage is going to be called Friends with Elisa. And next time I'm on, I will confirm all that information for you. So stay tuned, because it's all about being friends with Elisa.
Great. Yeah, we'll have all that information in the description. And so you should all check that out. And you should also follow me at Rachel's Reviews all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. I would really appreciate it. I do weekly family movie nights. And make sure you're following the podcast, Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. And if you're listening on iTunes, please leave us your ratings and reviews. We really appreciate it. We've gotten 3 really positive reviews the last couple of weeks. So we sure appreciate those so much. And we also, if you are listening on YouTube, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. And we also have our Patreon group and merch store. Take a look at that. We have a lot of fun with those designs and things that we do. So please help support the podcast. We sure appreciate it. And if you have any ideas of what we could talk about for On Friendship, we'd always love to hear in the comments section. So thanks so much. And we'll talk to you all later. Bye everyone.